How's it going, everybody? Showing my Blu Ray collection here today. Blu Ray movies. I think I have like 39 or something. Some are obviously in collections and whatnot. A bunch of these are still sealed because I'll randomly buy Blu Rays because they're cheap. I've gotten some from Pig Lots that were cheap, or on Amazon that have been cheap, or from eBay. Not eBay. Garage sales that have been like $1 a piece. So I just grab them. Some are still sealed. I mean, I've seen some of the movies that are sealed, but I like to grab them when they're cheap. And I'll keep getting Blu-rays over time. I usually just go on a little run. I'll get a few, maybe 4 or 5, then I won't for like 6 months, pick up another 5, stuff like that. I'll start with the one show that I have. This is the Twilight Zone Season 2. I got this at Big Lots. I think it was like $6 or $7. Twilight Zone is classic, inspired a lot of things after it. This has got commentaries by some of the actors in here, isolated music scores, promos, all that stuff. Trying to think of what they got in this one. I mean, a lot are considered classic. Eye of the Beholder is a classic. The Long Distance Call, I remember. Penny for Your Thoughts is a classic. Like the quarter lands on its side, and the guy can hear people's thoughts. I mean, they're all pretty much classic, honestly. The Camera one. Nick of Time with William Shatner. I want to say William Shatner was in a couple episodes over the years, over the course of its run. But yeah, and a lot of UFO Martian type ones as well. Classic show though, and they've been doing it on Sci-Fi for God knows how long, probably since the 90s. I definitely since the 90s, because I remember, I think, seeing it in the early 90s even. So they've been doing it for a long time on Sci-Fi. They'll do the New Year's marathon that will go 3 days, 4 days. This one here came from a garage sale. History of the World Part 1. This is a Mel Brooks comedy. I've not seen this movie in years, so I just know it is a comedy on the past. And I think it just goes throughout history. Yeah, what really happened throughout time. Detective Pikachu. This is actually a pretty good movie, and I'm not into Pokemon at all. I know stuff about Pokemon, but I'm not into Pokemon. This has Justice Smith, and Ryan Reynolds voices Pikachu. And there's a twist at the end. Well, not a twist, but I guess it kind of is. This had a pretty cool Blu-ray features on here where they were I watched it with this on Detective Pikachu mode type thing, and it will show you stuff about the Pokemon and stuff. So all the Pokemon are, and you got Charizard there. That mime one, I can't remember what that's called. There's a Psyduck down there. I think Jigglypuff's in here. Squirtle. Pidgeot, is that one of the... Was it Squirtle? Charmander, and then Charmander turns into Charizard. This is a pretty good movie, though, honestly. Based off the game, right? That game came first, right? On the DS or the 3DS. But what was it? It was Pikachu, but the 3 other main kind of ones from the show and stuff. I don't know if they were even in the games, but it was Squirtle, Charmander, and what was that third one called? I forget. If I try to remember it throughout. Venom vs. Carnage. I got this with another one I'll show wherever it may be. Off of not Glide. Gamefly. Not a cheap one. Still haven't watched this one. I kind of like the first one. Some people said this one sucked. So I don't know. I can't remember how much the two of them were. This is Venom Let There Be Carnage. Sorry, I did not say that. So you got Carnage and Venom there. this is the other one I came with it. I got with it a Resident Evil Operation. No, not Operation, that's the game. Welcome to Raccoon City. I like this movie. Like, this is a little similar. I think I like it a little more, though, to the first Silent Hill. Like, they nailed the look, right? But the movie is not fantastic, but I still liked it. They did some of the characters dirty. Leon, it's not even, the actor that played Leon was fine. It's the fact that they made Leon like a goof, idiot, moron. Like, it was like, I'm like, why is, he didn't know how to use a shotgun and all this other shit. Like, it was like really ridiculous. He was like almost the comic relief. It was very strange. And I was like, why didn't they let this guy play Leon the way he should be? I think that'd be pretty cool, but they did not. Where is he? There he is there. They did not. He was a goof. Like, he was a goof in the movie. It was. I was like getting pissed. I was like, why does he not know how to use a shotgun? Like, this isn't like he just mysterious. I know it's his first day as a cop when this happens, but he's gone through training and everything. I would assume he had experience with weapons when he was going through. It's not like he just is a civilian off the street. Like, oh my god, I've never fired a gun or something. Like, and Wesker as well. This guy, he's somebody known too. What is his name? I don't know. Neil McDonough is, and so is Donald Logue. It might be Tom Hopper. I'm not sure though. But anyway, the movie itself was cool and it had a cool look, but some of it, like some of the characters, Wesker as well. Wesker like kind of has a heart in this one. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, no. You know, Wesker seems like he's kind of a good guy, even though he never really, like, even when in the games when he's like showing that, you know, before you know he's bad, like he always comes off as like, you're like, something's not right with this dude. Overall, I thought it was all right, though, especially compared to the other Resident Evils with Mila Jovovich. I thought this was better. But, of course, they kind of combined the first two. No, wait, not the first two. No, yes, the first two games in this one. Or is it 2 and 3? I don't know. It would have been the first two. They would have kind of combined here, but it's still decent. But once again, with these kind of video game movies, most of them, they always feel like they got to change something up a little bit or change a character's personality. And shit, it's kind of annoying. Here's another Resident Evil Death Island. I got this one off of Amazon. I should have just waited because it was on Netflix like 2 weeks later. So this has all the classics. It's almost like Resident Evil All-Stars. You got Jill there, Leon, Claire, Chris, and I guess that's Rebecca Chambers in the background, I believe, right here. They all end up on an island. This guy like invites him there, and he unleashes like a new kind of virus, and they gotta fight their way off and shit. It wasn't that bad though. There's some other decent CG movies with Resident Evil. Do these? You always get like digital copies in a lot of these, and I always wonder if they expire, but I don't think they do. Not that I use them. Let's do Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. I actually like this movie, honestly. It was better than those G.I. Joe movies that came out with, like, The Rock was in one of them. I want to say Marlon Wayans was in one. Was it Marlon Wayans or was it somebody else? I think Channing Tatum was in there, too. They were not good. This one, honestly, is not that bad. I thought it was decent. You got Snake Eyes here, Storm Shadow, Scarlet. Samara Weaving is Scarlet. I thought it was pretty cool, honestly. The Baroness is also in here as well. I thought it was a decent movie. It's like the origin. Well, it says it. Origins, how he meets Snake, Storm Shadow, their friends. Does he get framed for the death of the Hard Master in this one? I think that's how it goes in the comics. But it's not him that did it. I think it was like Zartan that did it. Zartan is not in that, I don't think. Maybe he is, I forget. This one came from a G sale, Prince of Persia. As you can see, it was $1. I remember watching this movie came out. I thought it was decent. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Especially for video game adaptations, it was decent. Not that that's a high bar, but I thought it was pretty good. You got Jake Gyllenhaal here. Was that Ben Kingsley? Was it Gemma Atherton? Yes. Or Gemma. I think it's Gemma. Alpha Merlin is in there. So was, I forget his name. Richard something. He was in Coupling, the British show Coupling, which is pretty much like Friends, but actually funnier than Friends in my opinion. It was like a Friends show, but in Britain, but it was better than, in my opinion, it's better than Friends. I'm not a huge fan of Friends. I don't hate it, but I'm not a massive fan of it. Is Richard something? He was in this movie Grabbers too. That was pretty good. He's been in some other stuff. Oh, he's in Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, the Netflix one. Why can't I remember his last name? Yeah, we can do it. This one I have not watched yet. I did open it though. Takeshi Miike. First Love. He's a director, I think, who did. He did The Audition, perhaps. I've not watched this yet, though. I did open it. I don't know why I opened it. Maybe I did watch it. I can't remember. I don't know. I've not watched it yet, though. But it was like $3 at Big Lots, so I grabbed it. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I don't think I've seen this full since the theater back in when this came out, 2010 originally. They're telling you when the Blu Ray came out. They're not saying when the movie itself came out. There it is, 2010. Cool movie. I guess it's based off a graphic novel or something. I know there was a game too that I played that was pretty good. It's very 16-bit, I should say. Good soundtrack and stuff, but this is a cool movie. It's fun. It's got Scott Pilgrim's got to defeat what's her name? He's got to defeat Ramona Flowers. Was that her name? Beat her 7 evil exes, and then they turn into change after he wins. It's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and was it Michael Cera? It's not the other guy, right? Who's the other one that kind of reminds him? What's that other guy's name? That's kind of like Michael Cera. This is Michael Cera, right? Or is this the other? No, this is Michael Cera. Who's the other one? I can't remember who the other one is. You'll know who he is. If anybody remembers his name, let me know. This is a good movie, though. This is directed by the guy who directed, what's his name? Edgar Wright. Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and the other one, World's End. The three, what would they call it? Something trilogy, I forget. The Coronado or something. And he also directed Last Night in Soho and Ant-Man, maybe the first Ant-Man. He's been doing some good stuff for a bit. Jesse Eisenberg, I think. Is that the other guy's name that reminds me? Another garage sale. Actually, I'll show these next 3 are garage sale pickups. This one came from the Prince of Persia one. Garage sale, Unstoppable with Chris Pine and Denzel Washington. This is about a train that I think can't stop. So actually, I saw this a while back, and it was pretty intense, actually. This has a DVD, maybe, in it. This one might have a... No, it doesn't. When did this come out? 2010 as well. I remember it being a pretty intense movie. It moves. It's like a fast-moving movie. Like, there's not a lot of downtime, which I appreciate in movies. American Graffiti. This came from one garage sale on Long Island. This is, I believe, George Lucas's first movie, or he might have had something before this. I'm not sure, but this is George Lucas. He directed some movies called Star Wars. I don't know, they were average. Nobody heard of them. They came and went. No, I'm kidding. Obviously. He directed the first 6. No, he only directed A New Hope, and then he directed all the prequel ones. But I don't think he actually directed Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Somebody else did. But he wrote them, and he wrote the prequels. I saw this a long time ago. I don't even know, it's like a coming-of-age type story. And the last one from that other garage sale, Prince of Persia Unstoppable, it's got a ripped-up case or plastic. Alice in Wonderland. This is the Johnny Depp one with the Tim Burton directed one. I actually kind of like this movie. I like it. This second one, Through the Looking Glass, isn't as good, but I did like this one. I like the Cheshire Cat. I thought this was pretty decent. I'm going to show some sealed ones now. Evil Dead. This is the remake. This came out in 2013, I believe. I did see this in the theater, but I've not seen it since. And it was cool. It had the feel of the originals, the kind of, not as like comedic and kind of as frantic as the originals by Sam Raimi, but this one still had the gore, and it was still a bit goofy as well. X-Men Days of Future Past, the Rogue cut. So this has the deleted scenes that Rogue was in. I don't know if it's maybe like 6 or 7 minutes worth of stuff. I've not seen this version. I did see the theatrical version in the theater, and it was a really good one. The X-Men First Class and this one were great from that kind of set. And I like X-Men and The Last Stand from the original kind of ones they made in the early 2000s. But I didn't think, was it The Last Stand, the third one in that series? I thought it was decent, but it wasn't fantastic. Although characters from that one are in here, like Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, I believe, is here. Obviously, Hugh Jackman. I can't remember her name. Anna Paquin. And then Mystique is both versions. The versions of each of them are in here. So you're getting the First Class ones, and then the other ones pop in as well, because it's a time travel movie type thing. I really like this one though. And then Apocalypse was okay. They can never do Apocalypse right though for some fucking reason. And Dark Phoenix, or what's it called? Dark Phoenix. I watched some of that one and it wasn't good. Apocalypse was alright, but the first two were really good. Haven't watched this one yet, but it's another Big Lots for $4. Scoob. This is like a CG Scoob. I don't know if this is like Scoob Origins. There's been so many Scooby things. Yeah, this is oh no, it's just his. You see the never before told story of how they met Scoob and Shaggy. I have not watched this yet though, but if I saw it for $4, I got it. The House with a Clock in Its Walls. I bought this one because I did enjoy it. We watched it a little while back. It's like Jack Black's in here. It's like Cate Blanchett. I think Jack Black's like a warlock and Cate Blanchett's like a witch, and this other guy, this evil dude escapes. This kid unlocks the thing. I forget, but I do remember enjoying it. And it was like $5 or $6 on Amazon, so I got it. This got Blu-ray, DVD, digital. It's another Big Lots one. $5 for 10 Cloverfield Lane in Cloverfield. And then you have the Cloverfield Paradox. They're like connected, but they're not. I don't know. They're both really good. I like 10 Cloverfield Lane better than Cloverfield. They're different fucking movies. Cloverfield's good though too. A good kind of Godzilla type movie with the freaking creature busting through the city. It's all in kind of Blair Witch first person through the handheld, not first person, but it's all found footage style, I should say. But it's good. 10 Cloverfield Lane we saw in the theater. God, when was that? 2013 that came out, or 2014? We got commentary though, which I like. Matt Reeves, is he the one that does the new Batman movie? I don't know. Is that him? Who directed? Oh, Dan Trachtenberg directed 10 Cloverfield Lane. I feel like he's done some other good stuff too. They're both good. Cloverfield, the characters are a bit fucking annoying in Cloverfield, so I had no problem watching them get killed, because almost all of them are freaking annoying. But 10 Cloverfield Lane's really good with Mary Elizabeth Winstead again, and John Goodman. She ends up, I think she's a car accident, gets brought into his bunker type thing, and you're like, is he just nuts and he's making up this end of the world thing, or what? But it's kind of both. He is nuts, but stuff has happened. You see it in the end when she gets out. Like, they're telling you on the news, like, get to these safe cities and stuff. I think it's like it's a UFO type invasion, alien invasion type thing. Good thriller, though, even before that. The Mummy Trilogy. This has Tomb of the Dragon, Emperor, Mummy Returns, and The Mummy. I like all three of them. The Mummy's probably my favorite of those three. But they're good kind of Indiana Jones type movies with Indiana Jones is supernatural too. But it's good. Brendan Fraser, it's a good role for him. No Scorpion King in this one. No. That was the one with The Rock. He is in the second one briefly. This was like $10 or $12 for all three, so can't go wrong there. Another Big Lots one that I haven't watched, $4, The Relic, some kind of horror movie. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet. It sounded alright from what it said on the back, so I grabbed it. Joker. I really like this. We saw this in the theater. I thought this was a cool movie. It did a good job. I think at least I thought so with like kind of mental illness and other like just health related issues and how they can affect your life and stuff. And it's kind of an awkward, uncomfortable movie. I feel like this isn't the kind of movie you'd want to watch repeatedly. I thought it was really good though. I know everybody says the second one's complete garbage. I don't know if I'm ever gonna see it, but it's like it's almost like it was made on to be garbage on purpose or something. Some shit. This one was really cool. This popped $1 billion too, which was nuts. Unexpected $1 billion movie. Here we go. This alters, and some people might think this is controversial. It either is this or Ravenous that I go 1 and 2 for my favorite movies of all time, but it is the Blair Witch Project. I think I saw this in the theater back when it came out. I think it was 99, July of 99, but it came out a little earlier, I think, elsewhere. Like it got screened in some theaters in New York City. And people were like, this is interesting. And then they had the way they marketed this was genius at the time. They had the sci-fi documentary about the kids and stuff, the college students and everything. And people were like, what? People thought this shit was real. All right. The way they did it, which it's like, yeah, sure. The families were like, you know what? My kids disappeared, never to be seen again. Sure. You can put their footage on the big screen, right? Like, come on. But they did such a good job of making it seem like it was real. And at the very least, even me, I was like, well, maybe the legend of the witch is real, and they just used that, and they're making stuff up. No, that's not real. Like, none of it was real, like, they did such a good job. It's a found footage, not the original found footage movie. There is one, I've seen a few times now, it might be on Amazon, that came out like 95. It's basically, they were trying to find a Jersey Devil, but this guy, that like, is a kind of crew, people are going to do a thing on the Jersey Devil or something in the woods in the Pine Barrens of Jersey. And you find out like the one guy, I won't spoil it, but it's not, it's actually pretty good. I think it's called The Last Broadcast or something. It's really cool. And there might have been another one like right before the Blair Witch. But this one's shot this kind of thing into the stratosphere where they still come out to this day. I used to join it. I don't know if they still have it. It was called POV horror. It was all like found footage stuff and point of view horror movies. I was like $2 a month. And they had all types of them on there. There's some are really good, some are awful. As any genre, right? But I love this friggin' movie. It was so good. Saw it in the theater. It was the only movie to ever have me on the edge of my seat. Like in the theater, they come across the house, and I'm like, holy shit. People are like crying in the theater, which, okay, whatever. It adds to the experience, but people were going nuts. Like, it was a great theater experience, at least for me. And the acting, you couldn't make this movie with, like, at the time, I'm sure they were acting in other things, but they weren't known people. I know Heather and the guy who plays Josh. Well, his name is Josh in real life. They'll use their real life names, I think. They've been in some other things. I don't know if Mike has, probably, but they just did real well the way it was filmed, and you feel like, and how like they set it up to where they each got different things that they were going to do, and the other actors didn't know what they were going to do, so their responses and their reactions were more genuine. Like, it just worked. You never see anything, like you never see the witch or anything, which added to it, because you're like, what's out there? What are they saying? I don't know. I mean, if you didn't see it in the theater, it would be harder. I mean, I like it no matter when I see it. I used to watch this movie all the time when I got it on VHS, and I just loved it. I don't know. Some people can't stand it, and I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't, but I always loved this movie. This had alternate endings where just like Mike in different positions in the basement when Heather goes down there. Night of the Creeps. I haven't opened this one. I haven't seen this movie in years. This is a classic kind of horror comedy from the 80s with Tom Atkins, who was in Season of the Witch. He's been in a bunch of horror movies. This has got cast commentary, which is nice. This is about it's an alien kind of takeover. It's like a UFO crashes at some point, and then it infects a college student, and years later, a cryologically frozen body is thawed out, and these little slugs go into the bodies and they control them and shit, take them over, and it goes from there. But what was the tagline? Yeah, the good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead. But it's kind of a goofy kind of horror comedy, it's a really good movie. Director's cut. Let me go through the Bond movies that I have. This is the Pierce Brosnan collection. This is like $15 on Amazon, so you're getting all 4 of Pierce Brosnan's Bonds. GoldenEye. There's a crack in that thing there, which sucks, so it won't hold this in place. Tomorrow Never Dies, World's Not Enough, and Die Another Day. I can't remember much of Die Another Day. It's my least favorite of the four. I did see Tomorrow Never Dies and World's Not Enough in the theater. Oddly enough, GoldenEye I saw after I played the game, because I wasn't overly into Bond anymore. I'd seen a bunch from the back in the day, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton. And I played the game, and I was like, yeah, we'll see the movie. I'm like, oh my god, they made this game exactly like the movie. And the GoldenEye is my favorite. It's probably my favorite Bond. It's a great movie. I think Tomorrow Never Dies is probably goes in actually order for me. This is the best for me. Tomorrow Never Dies second, World's Not Enough third, and then Die Another Day fourth. They're all pretty decent though. I mean, they're all watchable, classic Bond type movies. Not super gritty Bonds like the one I'll show in a minute, but still cool to get. I think they have collections for all of the Bonds. Like whoever played them, Roger Moore. George Lazenby doesn't get a collection because he's only in the one, so it would just be one movie. I don't know if Timothy Dalton actually has one either because he was just in two. But speaking of him, this is his first one, The Living Daylights. This is a pretty good one. The second one, License to Kill, is the better of the two. And a lot of people say like he's the actual like, who was the guy that, it should say it on here, right? No, is it? Who? I gotta look this up. It wasn't Albert Broccoli who wrote the books, right? I gotta look. Because I said that in my the Bond collection video, but I don't know if he actually wrote them. Or he was just producing the movies. Let me look real quick. Who wrote them? Tell me his name. Ian Fleming, that's right. Ian Fleming. Why was I saying Albert Broccoli yesterday? I was just because I'm see his name on things. Ian Fleming. Apparently people were like, this is like the closest to what Bond was in the books, a grittier Bond, and that's what Daniel Craig's also was, but like not as much this one, but License to Kill is like a serious gritty movie. Like he's out for revenge in License to Kill. Like it's a different kind of Bond than you would have seen up until this point. Not to say the other ones were great too, but like a lot of people said this is what, the Bond was from the books, and Daniel Craig also is, I can't remember much. This one is also like the grittier, tougher kind of Bond. He's not like he's still kind of suave, but he's more of like, I'm gonna fucking get into a nice fist fight or some shit. But License to Kill, like his friend's wife, I don't know, maybe they both get killed, and he's like, hell, he just goes rogue. He's out for vengeance. And here's this one I got recently, Spectre. This is the third Daniel Craig one. No, the fourth. Yeah, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall is the fourth one, Spectre, and then I have not seen No Time to Die yet, the last one he did. This one was pretty good from what I remember. It goes separate. These ones are kind of depressing too. His ones, like not. I'm saying that is a bad thing, but like Bond's always getting screwed, right? Somebody he loves is getting killed or whatever. Spectre. That's I think the organization he's always going up against. The main bad guys are usually from Spectre, right? Is that it? I got some more left here. Mission Impossible, the first one with Tom Cruise, not the show, obviously. The show was in the 60s, I believe. Then they redid it again in the 80s. And then these were here. So Bond is about Ethan Hunt. This is my favorite of his Bond's mission. Still is. I have not seen Dead Reckoning. And I don't think I've seen Fallout. Rogue Nation was the last one I saw in the theater, that's for sure. And I really liked that one. Ghost Protocol was excellent. 3 was pretty cool. 2 is the weakest for me, but still not bad. Like I said, I might have seen some of Fallout. That's the one with Henry Cavill, right? Maybe I have seen some of that one. I've definitely not seen Dead Reckoning. Well, it was part 1, and now they're changing the new one for something else. But this one's my favorite one. This is like a straight-up thriller, like classic spy shit, thriller type movie. This is a really good movie. It's funny, too, the guy who played Jim Phelps didn't want to be in this because, like, spoilers here if you've never seen this, Jim Phelps, played by Jon Voight in this, he was like in the show, he was like the head of, what is it, IMF, And this in the movie, he turns like he's a traitor in this, and Jim Phelps is like, I'm not playing a traitor, like that's what he was in the other ones. So John Voight played him, and he gives up the names of the other spies, similar to freaking. They did the same. No, I guess they didn't. He gives up the names. Rogue Nation, a bunch of this old spies from all different organizations, different countries banded together to do shit, I think. But this is an awesome. All these movies have the scene. This is the scene here. The big action scene was on a train, but this is the classic scene where he rappels down and Jean Reno's holding him. He's got to get the info, and his sweat's about to touch the fucking thing. Nothing can touch the floor. It's a great movie, though. It's my favorite in the series. Transformers the movie. This movie's awesome, and it always has been, even when I was a kid. I mean, it's a little jarring as a kid because all of your favorites pretty much get wiped out in the first 10 minutes. Like, you're like, oh my God, this is insane. You know, like, in the beginning, like the first literally 15, probably about 15 minutes in, Ironhide, Brawn, Prowl, and Ratchet all get taken out on the ship. The Decepticons intercept, and you're like, oh my God, they're dead, they can die. In the show, they'd get shot multiple times and take the hits. They would get damaged and be out of commission for a little bit, but they'd always come back. This one, they're taking like 2 shots, they're done. Although Ironhide does get blasted in the face at the end. So a few of them, I think Braun's the one that took one hit in the shoulder and he was done. But then, you know, the same thing with the bad guys. Like, they don't get killed. They get reformatted by Unicron. So Unicron's the planet-eating robot in this one, voiced by Orson Welles. But you have, like, Megatron, the Insecticons, Skywarp, and Thundercracker get turned into Galvatron, the Sweeps, Scourge, and Cyclonus. And there was arguments about who became, was it Scourge? No, they say Thundercracker became Scourge, but they don't know if it was Bombshell or Skywarp that became Cyclonus. But Cyclonus also had his Armada, so maybe someone turned into the Armada. I always was like, they still sold a lot of the Insecticon toys and stuff after the movie came out. And the Insecticons randomly pop up in season 3 too, because they were able to clone each other. So people were like, oh, that wasn't the originals that died. But I always loved the Insecticons in the cartoon because they were like a rogue. They were Decepticons, but they were like a rogue faction that would piss off both sides and do whatever the hell they wanted. But they get reformatted by Unicron, turned into the newer toys. And then you got Hot Rod, Ultra Magnus, Cup, RC, Springer, I think. The Dinobots did make it, though. All the Dinobots made it. And some of the other ones did too, like Perceptor and who was the Autobot tape deck, and Soundwave and his crew are all still there. Rumble, Laserbeak, the rest. What was the cat's name? Why can't I remember the freaking Ravage? And then there was other ones that, like Buzzsaw, that didn't get used as much in the cartoon. Buzzsaw, and there was Rumble, and there was he popped up. They changed their colors from the comics. I think it was Rumble, and what was the other one's name? He was the same thing. But even like the Constructicons make it through, like most do on the Decepticon side. They wiped out like they get killed off camera. What was the two of them? Oh, no, not Jazz. Jazz makes it through too, and so does Bumblebee, and Cliffjumper as well, I believe. But you know, they're not in the movie too much. What was Starscream also gets wiped out famously by Galvatron when he comes back. There's just a lot of cool scenes. The music's awesome. The animation's awesome. It's just a cool freaking movie. It takes place in, I think, 2000 and 2005. You remember when this happened in 2005? What was it? It was two of them get brought in and they've been blown apart. I can't remember their name. Wheeljack. Wheeljack was one of them. Same guy who voiced Starscream and Cobra Commander. Chris Lott, I think his name was. But anyway, it's an awesome freaking movie. It's better than G.I. Joe the movie. G.I. Joe the movie's alright, but the opening is awesome with the freaking statue. For some reason, Cobra attacked the Statue of Liberty. Just that. And then it gets into the sci-fi weird shit. And it wasn't a bad movie, but it's not. I don't know. It could have been better. This is awesome, though. What was the other guy's? I can't remember the other dude. There was another one they pull into. bodies. One of them's a Wheeljack. I can't remember what the other one was. Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. This is the best of the three, kind of by far. Halloween. They did a great job. These three and only the original now are the canon. Not even 2 with Jamie Lee Curtis's canon. And H2O isn't with her, which was originally the only canon one after the second one back. It's been all over the place, Halloween. But this one's awesome. He comes back after like 40 years. Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of nuts, living in a house that's well fortified. She's teaching her kid how to shoot when she was younger. And now the kid and the granddaughter don't really talk to the mother. And then shit happens. He gets out again. He was right the whole time. She was right. He would get out because he always does. This one, I wanted to go back. I got this one with Spectre because it's got an extended cut, which is 2 versions of the movie. I'm hoping this one's better. I didn't hate Kills. Kills had stupid parts. They did the cool flashback stuff where they like recreated or they showed him after they caught him and stuff, which was kind of cool. And they look cool, gave the feel of the old ones. And then there's a lot of the old original, actually the actors who played the characters are also in there as well. The kid who played Tommy Doyle, it did not come back. Anthony Michael Hall plays him. He's like a dick. And I understand where they were coming from. Like, the town's like, oh crap, he's back. The town's like, we're not taking the shit, we're going to take him out. And it builds on like mob mentality, but they go after a random dude who's like in a gown. Like, he was kind of nuts, but like they would know damn well that's not him. The guy ends up killing himself, I think. But that was kind of stupid, and they beat the shit out of him, and then, you know, they just kind of let off. Knowing who he is, they let off, and then he starts killing people. That's when it really gets to Halloween Kills. He does kill a lot in this. This is accurate. But, like I said, he should have been killed in this one. If I'm going to go on a rant about Halloween Ends, which I thought was terrible, outside of a few things, he should have died the way he died in Halloween Ends. And they should have called the next one Halloween Legacy, where they had the other kid, Corey, who's the new boogeyman, kind of, because an accident. They were torn. He was getting screwed with or something, and he kicks a door open. The kid falls and dies. They were fucking with him. And it was kind of an accident, right? And all of a sudden, everybody's holding it against him. He's looked at as the new boogeyman. It should have been like Halloween Legacy. He's the new boogeyman. He could even pretend. He could have even donned the mask and been like, fuck it, I'm going to be the new Michael Myers at that point. You know, they want a boogeyman, they have it. But instead, like, Michael Myers, it's been like a couple of years, maybe like 3 or 4 years or some shit. Halloween's like, Halloween. Michael Myers like hiding in the sewer. And then Corey meets up with him and they have a kill date at some point. I am not kidding you. They both have a kill date. Like, Corey kills someone and Michael Myers. I'm like, what? Eventually Michael Myers, spoilers here, sorry. Michael Myers eventually kills Corey, I believe. I can't remember. But I was like, what the fuck? Thank God I didn't see this in the theater. I'm like, a kill date? Like, when he steals his mask at one point in the sewer and then gives it back. I think he's like, teach me or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that part up. But they do have a kill date. And he slowly loses it, which should have been the... And I think even the directors are like, yeah, we kind of botched it. It was botched. This one actually isn't that bad. I want to see that this extended cut, or a different version does. But the 2018 one's sick. But nothing tops the original anyway, though. And the last one is the Indiana Jones collection. No Dial Destiny in here. This is the Peggy version, I believe. So it's got Crystal Skull, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. My personal favorite is Last Crusade. There's another disc of bonus features. I thought it came with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles show, but it doesn't. That starred Sean Patrick Flannery. But this was I like him. I like Dial Destiny more than Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I like Kingdom of Crystal Skull fine, outside of some stupid parts. There was about 3 or 4 stupid parts in that movie, admittedly. People are like, aliens, like what? It's like, dude, the Ark is burning people's faces off. Dude's pulling out hearts and they're still alive in Temple of Doom. Like, come on, dude. They've been doing ridiculous stuff, since the beginning. Last Crusade is my favorite, though. That's a movie. It's the top 5 movie of all time for me. I could watch that repeatedly. The 3, Temple of Doom's like the horror one, the horror Indiana Jones, and that's chronologically the first. And then it goes Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Last Crusade, and the rest. I like Dial Destiny more than Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I need to get that one at some point. Crystal Skull's fine. It's the weakest of the five, but it's I don't people shit on it like it's the biggest pile of shit ever. I don't see it, although I don't get like that with a lot of movies unless it's Halloween Ends. And I still will bitch about that enough, but it's more just like it could have been so much better. Maybe you could sit here and say any Indy after Last Crusade was not going to get much better because he was older, and you have to now do it with time. Like in reality, there should have been another Indiana Jones sometime in like the late '90s, maybe because Crystal Skull was '08. So even if you had one in '98, 10 years prior, Harrison Ford is what, probably in his 60s at that point? No, maybe younger. I don't know. Was he like 80 now? What's the year is it? 2024. Say he's 80. 2024, 2007, 6, they're probably filming it. Yeah, so he was in his 60s then. So yeah, he'd be in his 50s. But they should have made another one where he was in like his 50s. And he would have been fine because he is still in good shape, even at 80. So they could have made a better one, I think, sure, than even the last two that came out. But I think they're fine, honestly. Like, they don't compare to the first three, but they're fine to me. I don't know. I don't think they're terrible. But hey, if you think they're terrible, that's fine too. But yeah, that's my Blu Ray collection here, and thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.